Angelo, A+ Racing. I know you subscribe. Hey, we're doing the part 2 of the Econo Spec Miata build. You already saw the car, so I've been ahead and I put a list together of what it could take to actually build the car. So this is it. Now, some of the stuff you'll be able to do yourself, but I want to cover it, all right? So, and I've listed it as stuff that you must have and stuff that's kind of optional. So I'll let you know what's going on. All right, so first off, the cage. I've got the cage down from $1,200 to $5,000. Of course, it's a must. Now, on the cage, what you can do is you can buy a kit. I know a couple companies that make the kit. One of them is Advanced Motorsports in Wisconsin. They do a great job. I've used their kit. Easy to put together. The other one is Miata Cage up in Washington, I believe it is, and I've used their kit too. And I've used both of them. They're both excellent kits. You weld them in yourself. They send you everything that you need. It's pre-bent. You do have to notch it though, so you'll be doing that, and you have to be a proficient welder, or maybe you have a friend that's a welder. And I go up to $5,000. So I personally use right now, I use Valley Motor Works in Rancho Cordova, California, and it costs roughly around $3,000 right now for a cage. But the cool thing is I drop it off there, and like 3 or 4 days later, they call me up and it's done, all right? When I do the cages myself, even if I'm bending all my own tubing, it just takes a lot longer. It take me like 3 months and the kids ruin $200 worth of metal. So I just find it easier and cheaper for me to go ahead and have the roll cage already built for me. So that's what I do. All right, so the next one is the fire system. So the fire suppression system, and you can use a handheld fire extinguisher right now, but those days are gonna slowly start whittling down where clubs don't want it. It's already kind of happening. There's already 2 or 3 clubs out there that require that you have a system. So I went ahead and put $50 to $600. And if you're gonna use a handheld fire extinguisher, it has to have a metal bracket, and the entire fire extinguisher has to be metal, and it has to be bolted to the floor, not screwed to the floor. And we'll get to that when we get to that switch. The kill switch, I did a video on it, a simple kill switch, roughly $50 to $120. The seat, the backstabber, if you're going to use a aluminum seat, you're not going to use an FIA seat, you have to have a backstabber on it. And you can make your own, and or you could buy one already done. So I've done both ways. I've made my own out of some tubing and some muffler clamps, and I've bought them also. The racing harnesses, the minimum ones that I see, about $100 for SFI belts, and then they go up from there. A window net, about $35 for the net. Of course, you could get a fancier one that's much more, and all of these are a must-have in order to have a Spec Miata. The window net holder. Hey, the other day we got to the racetrack and we found out one of our cars didn't have the window net holder. We went down to Tractor Supply, and one of my pit crew guys, yes, you, Todd Reese, he managed to put one together for like under $15, and it worked pretty good. And so we could also just make one. So I went ahead and put down on the window $15 to $120, and you could do that one yourself, okay? Hardtop hold downs, if you're going to run a hardtop, you can make them yourself for probably $15, or they make a kit and it's about $100. The suspension kit is $2,500. Let me make a space in here. All right, so the suspension kit, there's no getting around it. It's $2,500, and you can get that from Mazda. I believe 5X Racing sells those, Advanced Autosports. I get mine from Ben at Advanced Autosports, and they're all comes already put together. It's much easier to deal with. So that's the way that I go with that one. You got to have it. There's no getting around it. That's the suspension kit we have to use. Fuel sample port, I've made them myself for less than $15, and they go up to $800, and that would also be with the fuel pressure regulator valve. So on the NBs, the fuel pressure regulator valve that comes with the fuel sample port, it runs about $400 or $500. The wheels, about $400 for if you buy a cheap set of rims from I usually get them from Tire Rack if I'm going that route, and it's a must. Tires, I put $760. You could get a good deal on tires and might get them for $760 or so, and they could go up to $1,100 or more depending on the tire that you want. So depending on who's racing or what we're racing with,
will depend on the type of tire that you need to have. Okay. Racing brake pads, front and rear, anywhere between 250, 400. Again, that's a must. You got to have racing brake pads. If you're going to use stock brake pads, you're going to burn through those things like in no time. I don't even think they'll last a day. All right. Let's scroll down. Tow hooks, you could make them yourself, and I'll show you how to make them yourself with just using like the tie downs for a trailer. I've gone and bought those and welded them on there and used that, less than $20. You could go up to $150 on a tow hook. That's a must-have. Has to have a 2-inch circle. Roll bar padding is another must-have, and it has to be the SFI padding. You can't just get like the padding for like plumbing. They used to do that, but you can't do that anymore. So $60 to $200, that's a must. The stickers, definitely have to have the number. There's certain stickers that the car needs to designate what class you're in, the emergency fire system, the electric cutoff switch. Those all have to be on there. I put $25 to $200. That's a must. Now, from here on down, everything is kind of optional. All right. So the hardtop, that's true. Hardtop, you don't have to run a hardtop. But if you're not going to run a hardtop, you have to run arm restraints. So you have to be strapped in from your wrist to your driving suit so that your arms can't come out. And if you roll over, you're not going to cut your arms off. You don't have to have a hardtop. And at this point right now, if you found one for $1,500, that's a smoking deal. Somebody told me the other day they found one for $1,000. Those are the old prices, but he got one for $1,000, up to $3,000. I think for under $3,000 you can get a brand new one. So it's an option. Power steering bypass. I'm going to show you a trick on how to do it for free. Okay, so or you could buy the kit. Or you could buy a whole manual rack and spend up to $600, again, optional. Air filter, we use a racing air filter. If you have a 1.6, you can use a different air intake system, but on the 1.8, you have to use the original intake box, and we're allowed to change the air filter to a high breathing air filter. So I got $15 to $65 on that. If it's a 1.6 and you're trying to replace the whole end, those things are about $300. The steering wheel and quick release, $350 to $1,500, depending on how fancy of a steering wheel you want. Of course, that's optional. Steel braided brake lines, they run about $120. The aluminum thick core radiator, $130 to $600. I already ordered mine. I'm going to put one in it because here in California, during the summertime, it gets pretty hot, so I run the bigger radiator. Long studs are always nice to have, about $120 to $180. 17 millimeter lug nuts that go with the studs from $50 to $100. Limited slip differential, yeah, you can
anywhere from $1,000 to $1,800 on an LSD. It's optional, but man, I tell you, you're gonna be spinning wheels on the turn, so it's a nice thing to have. If all the stuff that was optional, if I had to pick one thing, it would be that. Transponder, if you want to own your own transponder, they're $160 to $1,000. But you can rent it at the track too, and some clubs will just lend you the transponder, so that's kind of an option. The exhaust, you can kind of make your own exhaust for $100, or you can spend up to $500 on some fancy exhaust. And the last one is Dave's construction book. Advanced Autosport, my old man Dave Wheeler, who started Advanced Autosports, started Spec Miata. He was the holy god of Spec Miata. Unfortunately, passed away a couple years ago. He actually wrote the book on how to build a Spec Miata, and that's where I started. I bought that book, and so that book is still available. It's in an updated print. Ben took over the business. He was a relative. They're doing a great job over there. I just looked it up. I think the book's $26. I put $30. That probably should be a must-have. All right. Okay. I've given you the roll-down breakdown. If I added up all the stuff that was a must-have without the hardtop, you're looking somewhere between $7,000 and $8,000, okay, in parts. And then this is you doing all the labor yourself. Now, the way I'm going to start this series is I'm going to start on stuff that you can do yourself that are very simple, very easy things that we need to take care of moving forward with the car. I will show you step by step. So even if you have very low skill level, anything auto related, if you follow me step by step, you should not have a problem putting together a Spec Miata for yourself. This is a great, father-son, father-daughter, mentor to a child. This is a great project for you guys. If you guys have a car or find a car and you want to do this, because I'm going to walk you through step by step how to get this car on the track so that you can race it with SCCA, NASA, and some of the other affiliated clubs. All right. So we're going to go easy. I'm going to take you step by step, and I'll show you how to do stuff. The first is going to be pretty easy stuff, like modifying the fuel system, and then I'll show you how to take the door apart, and we'll show you how to gut the interior. So we're going to start off really slow, then we'll ramp up so that you can build your skill levels up. Okay, so this is going to be a step-by-step to building your own Spec Miata that you could race on a budget. All right, so you have a great day. I'll see you at the racetrack. Thanks for chiming in.